Okay, now we're continuing on to your upstairs formal living room. So we've made a few changes here, nothing as far as layout. I think the way you had the space set up was really good for the elements in the space. So you're showing here your existing sofa, keeping your TV and media cabinet on this wall, though we've switched out some of those items, adding a new area rug to kind of bring the color scheme together, and then switching these chairs, which we relocated to the basement, down into and relocated into the basement and switching those out with something that's a little bit more solid, allowing us to play with pattern a little bit more in the rug and the accent textiles. So you can kind of see the color scheme is similar to what we have going on in the basement, inspired by the color scheme of the suite that you guys stayed in. So obviously your existing sofa, a new area rug, new chairs, throwing in a few different accent tables and some varying finishes, again, to kind of create that like layered textural feel. With a lot of different elements. So this is kind of like a hammered metal, and then we've got, a more natural wood color over here in the media unit. And then obviously mixing in some patterns and colors and textures in your accent pillows to kind of tie the entire space together. The main thing I think I want to chat with you about is this media wall. So we're showing, your existing TV size and creating kind of a custom look for this wall, but then doing a big accent or a big gallery wall above to kind of highlight the scale of the space, but also to try to address some of the acoustical issues that you were having in this large vaulted space. So here we're showing a couple samples for new upholstery, or excuse me, new window drapery, which you should have samples of. So again, these would be similar, just a stationary panel, kind of a decorative panel, another soft surface to help kind of absorb some of that sound, but really lightening it up a little bit. So doing something with a little bit more of a pattern, maybe something organic or something more geometric to kind of connect with the play on those two patterns that we have going on throughout the house, and mounting them almost the exact same. So a stationary panel mounted at the top part of the non-arched part of the window, also suggesting to replace your light fixture with something that's a little bit more transitional. So it still has kind of a traditional element, but we've streamlined it a little bit. And this is a 32 inch, I believe, so it's a really good scale for the size of the ceilings that you have. So this would be the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about, is our solution about the acoustical problems that you're having in the space. So we have a ton of height to work with on this wall. This is basically showing, that entire wall in your mezzanine starts right over here. So creating a really large scale media unit that works with the scale of the room, but then also utilizing some wrapped fabric acoustical panels above these, so they would be like about 5 feet high, would be upholstered in a custom upholstery over a sound absorption material. We could do kind of a design of, an X nail heads on it to make it feel like more of an integral design element into this gallery wall. Maybe throw a sconce showing some light down on it so it feels, purposeful, but hopefully giving you some of that sound absorption into this really high space. The rest of the elements would be your existing piece of artwork here, which is the people walking canvas, a couple of the similar frames that we used in the downstairs to highlight some, family photography or existing, small pieces of art. And then this is, again, another textural element. So we're really trying to create kind of layers of art and texture and metal and wood and kind of create a really eclectic feel there. So this is a woven metal wall basket. So something, again, that, allows this whole area to kind of be an accent of its own. And then this would just be the suggested size for another piece of art. So we could find something, we could work with something that you have, but the main idea being like trying to create a really well balanced composition here that not only solves the issue of your acoustical situation, trying to absorb some of that sound, but also is a really cool display that's the proper scale on this really large wall that we have. And then again, just looking this way towards your seating group. So kind of a mix of tables, again, with a mix of finishes, adding a table lamp here, leaving this piece of art where it is, but maybe adding another one of those frames that we're using throughout the space to kind of bring the scale of this, art wall to, the right proportion for the height of your ceilings. And again, replacing the light fixture and adding these more solid kind of traditional leaning chairs, maybe with a nail head or a more traditional shape. So I think that the color scheme up here is really fun. It speaks to, your love for, interesting art and textures and pattern and color, but just kind of streamlining a few things and kind of swapping out those chairs for downstairs gives us a really good jumping off point. Another thing with the media unit that I wanted to touch on is I think this is a really, awesome way to kind of display more curated adult items, which I think is really important to you in this space. Books, objects, faces, pictures, but allowing, maybe the bottom shelf to be some baskets that can conceal some children's toys. So if you do have to have some, toys on hand upstairs for, when you guys are making dinner or you're hanging out in the kitchen, there is a place to kind of tuck that stuff away, but while still letting the entire upstairs feel a little bit more adult-like. We are suggesting a new wall paint for up there, so we would obviously have to kind of figure out exactly, where that begins and where that ends, because the open concept and the vaulted height of your first floor, so that, might require painting a bit beyond the living room itself and kind of extending that out into the rest of the space just to make sure that everything kind of flows and is fresh. But for the most part, I think that we can really make these existing patterns and colors and artwork and everything work in a more sophisticated adult way. I'm just going to swing really quick into this model so you can kind of get a real life view of how these spaces are. So this would be playroom option 1, looking from the bottom of the stairs, and just to kind of get an idea of how all of these go together. Walking over into this space here, which is actually a little bit larger than what I'm showing here. So creating kind of that bridge space, which can, work for kids or for adults. Swinging around, replacing your countertop there and adding in some blue bar stools. And then really I just wanted to show you this view. So basically, your sight line from either point of entrance into the basement living room. So whether entering from this side or entering from the mudroom area, this would be your sight line. You'd be focusing on your beautiful new fireplace wall, your easily displayed art, which would be on picture rails, which is a great solution, for gallery walls that are in kind of high use areas. So the picture rail keeps, the picture straight, so you don't have to be constantly straightening your gallery wall. But so just really letting, these items be the highlight rather than having the 3 big pieces of furniture and built-ins kind of competing for the focal point and throwing off the balance of the space, and then having your media center flipped over to this side. So this would be kind of your view from that, showing your new light fixtures, and this would be representing your floral chairs from the upstairs. And then just swinging around to playroom option 2. So you can kind of see, obviously, this is a much larger, more totally kid-dominated space. And then all of this remains the same for the basement. And then lastly, your upstairs living room. So just showing you the layout of how all of that would come together. View from kind of your entry kitchen area. So looking at your media wall with these upholstered panels, which we're suggesting, new light fixture, new kind of lighter, brighter drapery, new area rug, existing artwork, pot of flowers that are stuck in the middle. And, you know, kind of just adding maybe a frame or two to kind of bring the scale of that up to the right proportion. So take a look over all of this. Take a look over the information that I'll be uploading here in Basecamp, and I look forward to hearing from you guys.